Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Still looking at Latin America. Today we're going to start looking at some of the physical geography of Latin America. And today we're just going to focus on bodies of water. So we're going to look at rivers, lakes, seas, oceans, the major bodies of water that are around Latin America. So we're going to start first with two of the major rivers of Latin America, the Rio Bravo and the Amazon River. Now the Rio Bravo is actually one that we've talked about before because the Rio Bravo is actually the same river as the Rio Grande. So it's just another name for it. In fact, in Latin America it's often referred to as Rio Bravo. So again, the Rio Grande, it starts in the United States in the state of Colorado, flows south through New Mexico, and then it creates that border between Mexico and our state of Texas. But the most important river in Latin America is this large river, the Amazon River. The Amazon River flows through multiple countries in South America, but the one it's associated with the most is Brazil because it runs across the entirety of Brazil, which is South America's largest country. So it is the longest river in Latin America, but it's not the longest river in the world. The longest river in the world is the Nile River in Africa. But the Amazon River is the second longest river in the world. How long? It's over 4,000 miles long. That's a super long river. And it contains more water than any other river in the world. So if you said largest river by volume of water, then you'd be talking about the Amazon River, but not the longest. The Amazon River carries so much fresh water. It's 20% of the world's fresh water. And it makes sense. This area that the Amazon River runs through gets a lot of rainfall. Henceforth, why the area around it's called the Amazon rainforest. So all of that extra rainfall that falls drains into the Amazon River. So the Amazon River carries more water than the next 7 biggest rivers combined. So the Amazon River, one of the biggest rivers in the world, the biggest river in the world when it comes to water volume, but only the second longest river in the world when it comes to length. So the Amazon River starts here in the western mountains of Peru, and as I said, it flows east across this entirety of Brazil. And you can see this green area, the dark green area, represents the Amazon rainforest. And thousands of tributaries fill the Amazon River as it drains into the Atlantic Ocean. So, there are times where the Amazon River gets really wide. Often it is brown in color because of all the runoff. So the Amazon River, super important river to Latin America. So let's look at some of our other bodies of water. We're going to look at both the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. We're going to look at the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of California, the Caribbean Sea, and Lake Titicaca. So starting with the Pacific Ocean. Latin America is wedged right between two oceans, the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. The Pacific Ocean is west of, it should say Latin America, west of Latin America, and it is the biggest of the 5 oceans that we have on the earth. So this is just one resort town in Latin America along the Pacific Ocean called Acapulco, and there are many other resort towns there as well. So the Atlantic Ocean then is on the eastern side of South America. And again, we have another resort town. This is Rio de Janeiro, right along the Atlantic coast in Brazil. Then we have the Gulf of Mexico. So the Gulf of Mexico is this body of water here. So we have the United States, this is Texas, all the way to Florida. So the United States does touch part of the Gulf of Mexico as well. But it is east of the country, Mexico. Now in this area, there is a lot of oil production. It has a shallow continental shelf off of it, so it's able to be explored for oil. The Gulf of California then is this skinny little body of water here between mainland Mexico And this is called Baja California, or the Baja Peninsula. It's actually connected up here because this is our state of California. We acquired the state of California in 1848, and this was the border that was decided. So this is still called Baja California. So the Gulf of California, located right in between mainland Mexico and Baja California, which is part of the country of Mexico. The Caribbean Sea. If I could choose a place to go in the wintertime, I'd probably choose to go somewhere in the Caribbean Sea for a week, just because it's going to have those nice, warm, tropical temperatures to experience. So in the Caribbean Sea, you have a lot of these tropical islands. So the Caribbean Sea is just north of South America, east of Central America. You have two types of islands. You have big islands here. Those are mountainous volcanic islands. You have a lot of smaller islands as well, and those are actually coral islands, and they're not going to have very high elevations. Now, as I said, one of those reasons people go and visit the Caribbean is because of its tropical, warm weather and beaches that can resemble this. And then our last body of water is a large lake, and this lake is unique because oftentimes we think of lakes as being in lower lying areas that have been drained. But this lake sits within the Andes Mountains, and the Andes Mountains are some of the tallest mountains in the world. And so it's in the Andes Mountains between the countries of Peru and Bolivia. And it has more water than any other lake in South America. So it is South America's biggest lake. It's also the highest navigable lake in the world. Navigable means able to have a boat run on it, and 922 feet deep. Now, why is Lake Titicaca there within the Andes Mountains? Well, it's going to snow in the mountains, and the snow melt's going to run somewhere. And so the snow melt from the Andes Mountains, because you can see right here, this dark brown is the Andes Mountains, drains into this area in this part. And so it's created this big lake within the Andes Mountains. So we had the countries of Peru and the country of Bolivia, and there are the Andes Mountains running along the west coast of South America. So, as I said, in the middle of the Andes Mountains, and you can see the snow-capped peaks in the back, you're going to have the melting snow melt draining in to Lake Titicaca, which means that water in the lake's probably going to be pretty cold. All right, so that brings us to the end of today's lesson. Hopefully you got all the notes filled in. Now go back into Google Classroom. Make sure you complete the assignment with this for the day. We'll see you next time.